Welcome to King Lizzard's Game Lounge, and you join me at the Bulldog Spirit Summit in the Crew, and obviously part of the Wild Run DLC. Now, my placing at this point in time worldwide is 1,707th, so I'm in a gold medal status at this point. There are over 20,000 competitors, or at least I think it was about 24,000 competitors at the end of this particular event when it concluded. So the first of our skill events is a Scramble event. Not one of my favourite events this, however, something that I kind of worked out to do recently was just jump in a monster truck. Monster trucks are a hell of a lot wider than most of the other vehicles, and there's a damn good chance you're going to hit these things as you're driving past them. Unfortunately, there's also a really good chance you're going to hit something else too, like some of the obstacles that are in the roads. However, with a bit of boost and a bit of semi-skilled driving, you can get pretty good score on these scramble runs with a monster truck that's in kind of the 900 pluses, like this one is. This is my Bar 500, and it's actually quite a cool little vehicle. This looks absolutely ridiculous with these big wheels, but it's actually a pretty good monster truck because it's so light. It can be pretty quick, and it's also pretty good for stunts too. So that was my best run on the Scramble, which actually brought me just outside the top 1,000 places, which I was pretty chuffed with. So next on to Dragster Spec. Now Dragster Spec gave me major headaches to start with, and what I've done here is actually just taken my best run, not all 3 runs, because I don't see the point of choosing losing runs and showing those to you. So in this case, you know, it's all a matter of just getting that acceleration right at the beginning of the race, just to get your traction so you can take off. Once you've done that, it's all a matter of using the right analog stick to quickly shift into gear. Now, different cars will give you different leniencies in terms of the time needed or the ratio needed in order to make a gear shift. So choose your car carefully. If you're finding that you're not hitting the gears quite a lot, try and choose something else like a Camaro SS, where you get that little bit more time to make the shifts. So after that dragster run, I managed to drag myself into 654th in the world and platinum. Next up is a time attack. This time round it's a circuit car, and it's in the wet. Now this particular circuit is a little bit nasty. There's lots of palm trees everywhere. There's quite a lot of obstacles. These types of time attacks in the Wild Run always have vehicles against you and stuff, so you really do need to have eyes like a hawk. You want to be watching the distance and just making sure that you keep the right line and avoid any obstacles coming up in the road. Obviously the key of keeping high speed: try not to slide too much, try not to drift too much, try not to clip anything or hit any oncoming vehicles. That's the key to getting your best time. Even if you need to back off the accelerator a bit here and there, do that rather than clip something, because clipping something is going to be a lot more detrimental to your time. Now, just missing that car there as I shot around the corner, lost a bit of control there on that corner. I hit the curbing, it lifted me, and ended up clipping that wall there. So far that's the only impact I've had. Now the green figures you're seeing popping up are my time differences from my previous run. So I'm in the plus at the moment versus my previous run. This is actually my 3rd run on this circuit. It's a circuit, I'm sure I've driven this or bits of it in PvP, or maybe I did it in like a skill or something. It's just very familiar to me, you know, before this event. So something that I kind of knew when I came into this as well, which obviously also helps if you know the bit of road that you're racing on. Now the car I'm driving is the McLaren MC12. It's actually quite a nice little car, this. It wasn't a car I specifically chose to be a circuit car. It was just a car that, you know, I bought at the time because it was something that was affordable to me, but it's actually turned out to be a good investment. It's quite a nice car, good speed, good handling, and obviously the key with circuit cars, they are all about speed and grip. So finished that one in the green, so I've definitely got a better time here. Now obviously when I started this I was 7,000 plus in the world in bronze, and let's see where I finish up. Now obviously when I did my last run I would have got some upgrades that would help the car, and that's the great thing about doing these events. As you're doing events you will always get something that's better. So in that case I got an 818 upgrade from 811, so the car's still reasonably low spec, or mid spec if you like, for the game, because obviously the max level was a 1299. So that put me in 1599th. That's a massive leap for me, so that's really going to help my standings hopefully. So that put me into 549 platinum. Next on the agenda is the crew speed trap. So you have to do this with at least one other person in the crew. Obviously you can do it with more, although it will get a little busy if you do. And it's 5 checkpoints around the map that you have to work out the best route of visitation for. So basically you need to work out a route around the map that's going to allow you to, 1, get to all of these checkpoints, and 2, to pass through them at optimum speed. The key is here, each of these checkpoints added up and averaged will equal your overall miles per hour for the entire event. So it's key to get the best possible speed through each one of these checkpoints. Hence it's probably wisest that you get your best handling and best speed car. Now something like the Ford GT 2005 is actually a very good car in performance along with this McLaren, but the Ford GT 2005 is actually a very grippy car. Out of the performance cars that I've driven, it's probably the best. Now obviously this particular event is in the rain, which definitely doesn't help because it makes it a hell of a lot more slidey than it is normally, and obviously compromises some of your car's control. So this one was actually quite a tough speed checkpoint to get through. And obviously the other key aspects of these are to try and avoid getting stopped on trees or vehicles like I just did, and because it will actually destroy your speed, as you see here. So I only managed to get through that checkpoint 116 miles an hour, which has dropped my average in a big way. Now checkpoint 1 and 2 are particularly weak for me, so I'm going to spin round here. I've got a minute 30 to go. I'm going to attack checkpoint 2 and hope that I can get through here without another collision or impact of any kind. As long as I can get around here cleanly. Oh, that was tight. There, we managed to boost that up to 161, which makes it closer to the other times that I've set. Now I've got to get my way all the way around to checkpoint 1 from the right angle in order for me to have a really good run up and improve the overall average before I run out of time. So I've got 55 seconds at the moment in order to get this done. Now the good thing is I'm all the way down the bottom of the map here, so I've got a hell of a run up to checkpoint 1, but obviously I do have to avoid hitting things like these trees. There we go, straight through. That was 166.7 mile an hour now, with that 200.4 mile an hour through checkpoint 1. 32 seconds left. Do I have enough time to visit one of the other checkpoints? Probably going to be tight, but I'm going to try and hit checkpoint 4 again, see if I can break the speed. No, that's not enough. 159. I've got enough time possibly to make it back round to checkpoint 5, so I'm going to blast it here, try my guts out, try and hit this checkpoint 5 as fast as possible. I might be able to breach this 164.1. Got it. Beautiful. 170 mile an hour there, so that took me up to a 167.8, which should be a pretty good placing. Poor old McLaren there, not looking too well. It's had a bit of a face beating. Got myself a exhaust part here, so that gives me a 1159 spec car, so it's getting quite high, this one now, and 183rd in the positions. Excellent. That's going to be quite a jump for me, I hope. But before I verify my placing, we're going to do some drifting. And I'm going to get in the Nissan Skyline GTR. Quite a monstrous car, this. But hopefully, this is going to help me get a top score. Now, I've already done some runs for this. A little bit sketchy. I kept it's a reasonably wide road, so there's kind of no excuse for not getting good scores. I just found I kept going that little bit wide. Now this car isn't a top spec car, so I've still got quite a bit to do in speccing this car out, so it could just be it's that little bit too loose at the moment, but I'm finding it quite hard to maintain pretty decent drifts, and I find myself just tapping that brake that little bit too much and breaking the drift score, which obviously breaking the score is just going to limit what you're doing. What you want to do here is consecutively keep racking up that number so that higher that number gets, the bigger the combo you're going to get for your drifts. And so far I think the highest I got was a 20 or a 22, I can't remember now, and that gave me some serious scores. I think I finished up with a 22,000 drift score, which for me is pretty good. I mean, there's probably people out there that can do a lot better than that, but for me I was pretty happy with that. So far I've managed to keep in this 8, 9, 10, that's not bad. Obviously I got onto the straight there. I could have flicked it again, I probably would have hit the wall. I didn't want to compromise this corner. Hitting this corner at speed could help me get another consecutive bonus, only 1,000 out of that one. So, and again trying to keep the drift, little flick there, slowed myself down, that cost me again. This bridge is quite an awkward place to try and drift. You can kind of flick it left and right and keep those numbers ticking up. As I said, those numbers going up is well important in terms of getting your score big. So 13 here, and I've just clipped the wall, that's blown it, but that takes me into 12,000, which is the best I've done on this circuit yet. And I think that's probably going to be the best I'm going to get to do, because I'm running out of time for this event. So we're finishing on a 13,302, very nice. And that's probably going to be quite a significant jump for me, I suspect. But drifting literally is, you know, accelerate, feather the accelerator, flick the car left to right with the brake, but not very hard, just little taps, just to make you swing that back end out. And it's all a matter of just keeping the car in control and in motion. So that wasn't anywhere near as big as I was hoping for. In the top 2,000 a bit, took me into platinum 244th, which is still pretty respectable place. So this is the brand race, and it's a time attack again, and this time the car that we have to drive is the Cigaris, the TVR Cigaris. So not actually driven this car before until this event. I had to buy one. All of the brand races you have to buy the vehicle if you don't already own it, and you have to buy obviously the specific spec of vehicle that they want you to use. So the class for this car is a P class car, which obviously stands for performance. So it's all about speed here. Again, this whole event has been based in the rain, so it's pretty slidey. This car is a little twitchy, but it is early days in terms of upgrades. Obviously when I spec this car out, I'm actually a level 50 driver, which is the max level you can get in the crew. And once you get to level 50, when you buy car kits, you can choose to buy car kits up to level 40, which is basically level 717 from a car perspective. So this car is still, you know, very early days yet, still quite a few upgrades to chuck on it, and it's, I think it's at the moment around about the 800-ish level, if I remember rightly, before I set this race off. But you can see there I'm getting some time differences. They're like, you know, not even a second. So I've already driven the guts out of this track, and I'm just picking up the odd little, you know, improvement here and there, and I've actually just lost an improvement there going through those. So I've lost half a second over at the moment. I've got a lot of work to bring that back in. And this is, you know, it's a very nasty track. It's all about using your boost to get yourself going again when you get around the corner, because it's so wet, you're kind of sliding wide all the time. And this car, as I said, it's not the tightest handling of vehicles, and it does love a slide. So keeping this thing under control in the wet is not, it's not dreadful, but it's not a great deal of fun either. So I'm dropping down to a second slower here at the moment. I've really got to pull this out of the bag, and I've got 4 checkpoints to do it in here, and this literally will be my last run. So if I get this good or bad, I'm kind of stuck with whatever I get, which could mean no improvement at all, obviously. So slight improvement on time there. I've got 2 more checkpoints to reel in. Car's gone off on the grass, that's not good, just missed that vehicle. Got myself in the green again by a second. That did not help hitting that barrier. Again, you know, these races or these time trials are dead important that you don't make collisions or contact with the sides of the road. All costs you time. Not my best run, but it's okay. I should have just made an improvement, but it's not going to be very significant there, I don't think. So really nice looking car actually with this paint, this you know, this race paint. And I love the colour, the, you know, the orange mix with that. I think it looks pretty cool. So So 740 is the spec I'm running, so it still is a very very young spec car. I'm quite happy with that. That was a 650th place in the world. That's respectable. So that managed to squeeze me into 210th in the world. And now we're on to my least favourite skill, the precision skill. Real pain in the backside, these things. I find them quite hard work. I'm using the bike here because obviously the bike's the smallest object that can fit through these gates, or at least that's what I'm hoping anyway. This bike, however, is the Ninja Kawasaki H2, and it's very fast, but it's not the best in terms of turning. So I think you're going a little bit too quick into the corner, turning it last minute is going to be very difficult. Not the run I was looking for there, to be honest. I was having quite a few problems with this precision run, and it's not my strong point. So I've got a feeling I probably haven't made a huge impact on my particular placings there. We shall see. So, oh no, it's quite significant. Still quite high up in the rankings, but that was respectable. So that run managed to bring me into 178th in the world, which I'm pretty chuffed with at this point. That's quite a respectable place, and now it's on to the monster trucks. Now this event is probably my least favourite of the monster truck events. It's one that I haven't particularly learnt that well at the moment. However, this particular run gets me a reasonable score. So if you're having issues with it in terms of doing this run and not getting a great score, just try to follow my lead. Check out where I go around the map and exactly what I do. Now, I've wasted a lot of time here, to be honest, driving around trying to get to various points. So what I'm going to do here is do a backflip as I go over. Landing these can be a bit tricky sometimes, like that. It throws the car up on the front. Is it worth the risk? Yes, because it's the difference probably between 1,000 to 2,000 points doing that, rollover. And there, for instance, doing that rollover with those 5 consecutive 500 points got me, the best part of 5,000k. So that's definitely worth doing. And the key here is to collect a good portion of points and then go for the big prize, the 5,000 points. Now, I'll be honest, timing the 5,000 points has proved pretty difficult for me in terms of getting it the right moment, but I've seen that if you get the 5,000 points as one of the last things you do, if you've got like a 20k score, it'll be the difference between 30k and 40k at the end of the event, just by grabbing that 5,000 last. But it really is a matter of building it into your run so that you can successfully reach that 5,000. Obviously, if you've missed the 5,000, you risk just getting the 20k, which isn't a big deal because you can always do the run again. It is just a game after all. And of course, you will get parts for your vehicle that are most likely going to upgrade it. Now, I've found that when you get to the 126X area in terms of levelling on the vehicles, it's very difficult to get parts that improve your vehicle. Game tends to chuck a lot of stickers and bumpers and stuff at you, so it can be a little bit frustrating from that respect. I've still got to learn what I'm doing wrong not to get those high level parts at this point. The best I've got so far in terms of a vehicle are a couple of 1267 spec vehicles. So back up this ramp. I find in this particular map these ramps are key. Getting these ramps with the 500 pointers on, they can really give you some good scores. This is definitely one of my earlier runs. As I said, this is probably my 3rd wild run event, and my first time I'd actually hit this particular variant of the monster truck map. So I do get a lot better at this one later on in life, so definitely worth checking in on my later videos, which I'll be posting in the not too distant future, so you can see exactly what I do to get a better score. In this case, it is very misjointed type routine. I kind of, I'm putting it together as I go pretty much. And there's also a hell of a lot of wasted time. The key thing is in this, monster trucks, is obviously using, having a routine that is consistently safe, that will get you points. What you do not want to do at any point is make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you lose your combo, and that has a massive impact on your overall score. So with monster trucks, it's all about getting it done in a timely manner without mistakes, and consecutively scoring those points, as well as grabbing the biggest points, those 5,000 points last, because that will really make a difference to your score. So now we're on to the next event, which is an escape skill. So in this case I jumped into my McLaren F1 again, because it's my fastest vehicle, and I am blasting the guts out of this thing to try and get as far as I can. I already got pretty good score in this, but I'm keen to try and get an improvement if I can. It's not going to be much. Yeah, there's barely anything there, but I got a little bit of improvement and might make some more placings for me. This is really at the end of the event now, so it's, you know, it's kind of everything or nothing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I will be back with more The Crew and Wild Run and the events, and also some tips and tricks. Please be kind enough to rate the video, subscribe, take care, keep well, and keep watching. And this finished me in 151st.